Hernandez of MLH Media and Valley Fight News, and I'm here today at a very familiar spot to both me and my guests here, the Visalia Powell Boxing Center, a place where I have a little bit more of a family tie to it, but you have a ton of work, blood, sweat, and tears in here. How is it to be back here doing an interview, all your success, I mean, down to even being an inspector for camo? It's crazy. It's like you're all over boxing, MMA, karate, jiu-jitsu, just every martial art. You seem to be doing it big. So how you doing today, Jennah? How's it back being in the Visalia Powell Center?
It's good. Yeah, I keep busy, training, doing camo inspecting, whether it's between going off on trips to train with different coaches or going on trips to compete. I always stay busy, and so being able to be at my home gym for the most part of my training is really nice.
Yeah, so this has been a home to you for quite a while now, right? I mean, this is the first ever spot that you've ever trained for, from what I've gathered. And you train, it seems, all over. You train at Vitruvian, you get your training in. You used to train over at Outlaw MMA back in the day, but I know you kind of have a plethora of spots where you're hitting up now. Tell us where Jennah the Gem has been going as of late, because I know you get hit up from all kinds of spots to go train in the Central Valley. Where's been some spots you've been going as of late that you maybe wanted to give a little bit of a shout out to?
Yeah, so right now where I train at mostly is here at Visalia Powell for my boxing. Where I'm actually getting ready to go to Brandenburg in Germany to compete for the USA team. We're having just international competition, and then also Vitruvian for my jiu-jitsu, my NoGi. I've been getting some sparring over there as well with some of our MMA guys and Muay Thai guys. I did a little work with Jasper from Fresno, which was incredible. They had a little fight camp going on, and they invited me to go kind of test where I'm at, and that was definitely an experience. I could definitely say I never almost threw it up from a workout, but the first day I almost did. I didn't, but I almost did, and I loved it. I just wanted to keep going more and just get more of the experience from him and his guys. I got beat up, got a bunch of bruises and stuff like that, but I loved it, and that's one thing that just makes me want to be a better fighter, is just seeing different experiences like that.
Yeah, so Coach Jasper that you were speaking of over in Fresno, correct? Was he the one training those Halo BJJ guys that we all seen having some success at 559 fights as well? Because I know there's a couple of Muay Thai coaches over there, very prevalent in Fresno, but it seemed like a lot of those Halo BJJ guys, they've gotten that striking down. Was Coach Jasper perhaps a part of that, or is he kind of just a guy that trains free range at the moment?
I'm not quite sure if he trained anyone at 559 from this past weekend. I know he has a couple fighters right now, Nicholas and Dimitri. One's getting ready to go for a WBC belt. That was part of why the little fight camp was going on. I'm not sure. He kind of picks and chooses who he trains with and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, that must be pretty special, though, to be one of those people that coach is like, hey, let's get you over here. Let's get you to go ahead and test our guys. And how has that been for you? Because, I mean, as a women professional MMA athlete, you're going to run into this as well, just, the constant, like, oh, my gosh, women MMA, this and that. But you have completely broken that stereotype for anybody in the Central Valley. I feel like everybody has followed you with great passion. You've had the whole community support. You have Bobby Salazar has been sponsoring you since way back when. How does it feel to kind of have that stereotype be broken over here in the Central Valley, a place where, the Mexican culture very prevalent, oftentimes women are kind of told, oh, don't break outside the box. How was it growing up and kind of, breaking that stereotype and often having to break that mold to other coaches and to other people that you were having to face off against?
Yeah, that's definitely one thing that I've experienced firsthand. I'm in a male-dominant sport. That's obvious, but that's one thing I always wanted to do since I started, is to break that. Growing up, I was always been on like all boys wrestling teams, and there was like maybe one or two girls, and sometimes they would fall out of it just because wrestling with the guys isn't always, like, I guess you could say, ideal. Yeah. Just because, again, they're like, oh, girl on the team, what? Yeah, no, we don't want that. And it's kind of hard, but I saw growing up the sport, seeing how my brothers wrestled, and kind of growing into my own experiences with it, is that we could do everything guys could do and probably even better. So definitely getting to show that off during my wrestling season this last year. I was the first girl in Tulare County to win a state title. Yeah. And, of course, I got a lot of DMs and comments of like, oh, you're just a girl though, that doesn't count, you can't do it and all that stuff. But I kind of gotten used to it, and honestly, just by them telling me that, it just makes me want to work harder and prove them wrong again. So.
Yeah, has there been any idols? I know I've watched some interviews with you in the past. I know Ronda Rousey, obviously a huge idol for a lot of women MMA stars, but is there anybody else currently in women's MMA that you've kind of seen and you've taken notice for, maybe in boxing? Because I know you're obviously, we're going to get into a little later, very heavy into that boxing. But has there been anybody that you're just like, you know what, that's somebody that I really want to idolize myself after, and I want to kind of mold some of the characteristics that they have?
Yeah, for me, I don't really idolize certain fighters, but I like to look up to with like great respect. And definitely one of the fighters would be Bas Rutten. He's amazing, not only fighting but also outside. Like I met him a couple years back at my first 559 fight that I went to at the convention center. And the first fight I ever been to, we had a couple famous refs there, but they kind of ignored the whole crowd. But Bas went straight to the crowd and started talking to everyone, and he really just left an impression on me and how I want to be if and when God wills it, I am champion, and he's just made that experience incredible. And we've been following each other for a while, and he's just everything that I want to be, and he's amazing.
Yeah, Bas Rutten is definitely a pioneer in MMA, has a very prevalent following over there in karate combat. He helps run that. And then also he has his gym over there in Southern California. Speaking of other gyms out here in California, I mean, there's AKA, there's all the gyms over in the Southern California area. Has there been any gyms that you've really wanted to go out there and kind of train with, or has there been any gyms that you're like, wow, that was a different type of experience? I know you've gotten this, you started off wrestling over at Dethrone, right? Yes. With Sensei Mike Moreno. You've gone over to Vitruvian. You've obviously worked with your coaches in high school, but has there been any gyms where you're just like, that was pretty cool?
Yeah, I could definitely say the whole experience with Jasper and his team, that has honestly blown my mind from all the training I've done. But eventually I do want to get to like maybe AKA and train with them, because they have all like the big guys there, and really test where I'm at physically and emotionally, and kind of just see where I'm at in my fight game. But yeah, I'm always looking forward to like maybe one day traveling to different gyms and just kind of seeing the area, how they train, how they fight, kind of like whatever they think of when they're fighting, because everyone has different like thoughts while they're processing, whether they're training, whether they're fighting, whether they're preparing for anything. And so kind of like getting to explore the different roots of that and how people get to where they're at is just I love it. It's definitely seeing different perspectives is what I love about it.
Yeah, and that goes right into my next question. You're talking about roots. What are your roots for MMA? I know you you started boxing when you were very young. What was the reason for that? I know boxing, it's a very tough sport to get into, and I believe your dad was kind of quoted on it. He didn't know if you were going to be really into it after you got punched in the face. And
yeah.
you came back, you got punched in the face, and you persevered, and you just wanted to carry on and do it. What was the reason though that you originally began boxing? Because boxing's a very hard sport. It's very tough on the mind, very tough on the body. And for somebody that young, I believe you were what, 5 to 6 at the time?
For boxing it was 8 or 9.
8 or 9. Yeah. But yes, you're still, I mean, elementary school level. A lot of these kids are thinking, oh, how am I going to slide down the slide at recess? You're thinking, what am I going to eat after my boxing training, So just go into that kind of mind, how you molded it when you started in your boxing training, and why exactly you wanted to get into boxing.
Yeah, so originally at that time, I just started wrestling when I was 4 years old, so I was still getting into that sport, getting used to that. I have older siblings that all did wrestling, boxing, karate, and so, of course, I was the youngest. I wanted to do what they did and better, maybe become the favorite. But I was at the park with my dad, and there was an officer there, and he told me how the PAL had the boxing and how it's free, and I just bugged my dad every day. I was like, can we go? He's like, oh, yeah, tomorrow. Oh, yeah, next week. We'll go. And finally, I was like, hey, we're here anyways. We're next to it. Like, might as well go, because my brother works not too far. And I just bugged. He's like, fine, whatever. Let's go. After like a couple days, they decided to let me spar. They kind of lined up the boys across the side of the ring, and they kind of just rotated them in. And my dad's like, okay, that's cool. Let her get hit. We're done with this. We go back to just wrestling and not worry about it. And, well, I got hit, and I just kept going for it. And he he was like, oh great, like this is what we're doing now. Like now she's gonna add another one. And I just loved everything about it. I ended up bloating a couple of kids' noses and their mouths, and I just loved it. And I was like, okay, who's next? And my dad's like, that's it. You went through the whole line. You're done. I was like, okay, can we come back tomorrow then? Can we come back? Oh my gosh, yeah. That's kind of when my dad's like, okay, this is what she wants to do. And around that time was also when I was like, oh my gosh, Ronda Rousey. She's like UFC champ of the world. The first girl to do it, and I just love that. I wanted to do that and more. Again, I like to set standards for myself and break them and make it expectations and kind of just go above and beyond all the time. So.
Yeah, you have set that goal ever since you were very young. I was watching some of your interviews back from your day, and you said you wanted to be a UFC champion and an Olympic gold medalist way back when. Way before Triple C was doing his whole gig, way before Henry Cejudo and his whole personality blew up, way before anybody was really even looking at Olympic gold medalists and looking for them to go into MMA. I mean, people were kind of subsiding that Daniel Cormier was an Olympic gold medalist. So how has it been for you, somebody that's always had that goal in mind, and now you're getting the recognition for it? People are recognizing your accolades. You just got, you were talking about it earlier, you got elected to go to Germany for the boxing camp for USA Boxing. How are these opportunities for you, somebody that's always had these goals in mind, always been set on this road? How is it to finally see the fruits of your labor paying off?
Yeah, so actually when I made the whole, like, this is what I want to do, once I'm 18, and I was like, that's so far away, though, and I just remember crying my eyes out to my dad, just like, it's taking forever, why isn't it here yet? I just wanted to go and do it, and so now that I'm super close, I kind of start realizing all the milestones that I made, like all the goals that I started when I was 4 years old, and now that I'm starting to achieve them and, like, maybe even going farther, and just knowing that I'm right there to doing all of what I dreamed of. I'm hoping to be the first ever to not only get but also hold a title belt in boxing, but also MMA at the same time. And again, just setting more goals to myself and hopefully breaking them. It's incredible. I got a lot of love from the community recently, especially because of everything I've been doing. They kind of recognize me for all the hard work I put in. And I know there's some people I like see at the store and they're like, oh yeah, I remember when you're little. And I used to like pass out these little cards that I made, and I like cut out the pictures and write on my Instagram and all that stuff. And it's just incredible to see how far I've come and seeing that people did recognize what I've been doing all these years. And I'm just super excited to see what the future holds.
Yeah, I even remember, and this is a shout out to Officer Arturo Villarreal, the one that runs the PAL Center over here in Visalia, California. He has been telling me about you and telling the whole family about you for years. So I cannot tell you about it. I mean, he has said, this girl, she's going to be the next one up. She's going to be the next one up. She's, oh, man, she can kick all your guys' butts. She would tell all us boys. And, I was like, you're young. You're kind of, like, naive, And then I seen you just like, I was like, oh, yeah, this girl can kick my ass. Very, very much so, And it's pretty cool to see the levels that you've just gone up. It seems like every single year I'm seeing you. It's just, like, a different type of progression that you've made. And this year you've gotten really into doing the camo MMA inspecting, and I really wanted to talk about that because that's not something that a lot of fighters get into before they fight, so discuss that route, discuss how you got into that. I know you have Steve Ramirez, he trains at Vitruvian over there with you. Was he kind of an idol for that, or was there just a little little tick that said, hey, I gotta go try this refereeing gig out?
Yeah, so I always knew there was like inspectors like that. I knew there was obviously a job had to be done, but I never really like knew much about it. And so again, yeah, Steve, he was one of the coaches at the Vitruvian, and he posted on this band app that has all the gyms like, hey, we're looking for inspectors, like job shadow, kind of get your feet in the water, maybe this would be something you like. And I remember reading, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to do that. So I told my dad, and he's like, you're probably too young. You still need like time to learn and all that stuff. I was like, okay, sure. Next day I went straight to Steve to talk to him. I was like, okay, so what do I have to do? How old do I have to be? Can I do it now? And he was like, he has to check because, again, I'm not 18 yet. And so he was like, I'll have to check. I mean, you do obviously have the experience needed for it, which is like some sort of martial arts background. And I was like, I just want to learn every aspect of the game of MMA just so when I'm in the cage fighting, I already know how it works. I know how to get through all the system. I understand, what they're doing already. And so being able to do my first one, I already knew how they're supposed to wrap their hands. I already knew how they have to get their gloves and all that stuff because that's what I've been used to. So the training process I made easy for Steve. He was very grateful for that part. But, you know, it was just a different way to look at the fight game. I know before I kind of just saw like, oh, fighters go out and boom, they fight, do their job, and go back. And I never really noticed like all the like the fine details that the inspectors and the referees and all the camo people put into it to make it run so smoothly and make it so like nice running and looking good for everyone who's watching the fights. And that's one thing, doing it I appreciate more. And it was just something I loved. I learned so much more from it too. And again, making connections with the fighters and coaches. And it's really nice now too, since like 559 is local. Doing those are always nice because most of the coaches know me already, or some of them know me as just that wrestler girl who won state or things like that. And so it's just a great experience for me, and I enjoy doing it. So.
Yeah, it seems that you have a lot of passion when you're out there. I mean, you're always seeming to have a smile on your face when it's either talking to the fighters, when it's going up to coaches and kind of getting to chat it up with them, and, you know, just being in the MMA sphere in general. So with this Olympic boxing opportunity that you're getting, I just wanted to, like, you know, kind of intertwine it. How has it been having this big opportunity like that, and then also having that dream for MMA? Has there sometimes been like where you're like, damn, like you're looking at two goals, two dreams, and they're two big goals, you know, UFC champion and then obviously going to the Olympics for boxing and winning gold. Has there ever been sometimes where you're like, man, this is a lot? Because you're a young gal, you're 17, you're barely going to be a senior in high school, which is absolutely insane and great for your accomplishments. But just go into that. Has there ever been a time where you're like, man, I don't know if I can do this? You know, this has been a lot, but you've been persevering, as it showed.
Yeah, for me, I never doubted the fact that doing both of them, I'm always the one like, okay, let's do this too. My dad didn't like the fact that I was already doing 2 sports and I ended up adding like 5 more on top of that. He was like, okay, you know, she'll get tired of this, you know, she'll get tired at some point, you know, a grade slip, then I'll pull her out. That never happened. And that's one thing I do with everything. And growing up, telling people that I do all these sports and telling all the activities that I'm involved in, I get a lot of, you can't do it all. You know, you have to stick to one sport. That's all you could do. And then, you know, the rest you could do later on, but you can't do it all at once. And that's one thing I love hearing, because when I do it all, like when I go back to back from winning state and then going to like a boxing fight and winning it, it just makes it feel so much more better and kind of boost my confidence more to like, okay, this is my next goal. You know, let's set something else. Let's go to the next level for this one and then add this one as well. You know, and that's just something that helps drive me more than anything. And that's one thing people don't really understand. They're like, you're doing all this and you're still going. Like, how do you have the energy? How do you have the time? And I was like, if there's a will, there's a way. You know, I make sure I get it done. I have priorities, so I set schedules and kind of doing all of what I need to do to make sure I can do it all and prove everyone wrong. You know, I have to give my dad a couple energy drinks on the way, but, you know, whatever you got to do.
Yeah, you know, and your dad's right here, Larry Creason. He's been standing here in your corner for quite a long time. Go into that relationship with your dad that you've had, because, I mean, it seems to me that every single time, you know, you're mentioning it's always my dad, you know, my dad, and that's a really good thing to have that relationship with your father and to have that kind of guidance. So go into that, go into how your dad has really just helped you to kind of breathe sometimes, because as we were saying, you know, it can be a little overwhelming. So has he, you know, even with the energy drinks in his system, you know, has he been able to kind of just give you that fresh breath of air, or has it been a little bit more of a, hey, you know, let me prove to you, let me show you this Creason way, you know, and you've kind of been, because you've definitely shown your own path, but has he shown to kind of just smooth you out and calm you down sometimes?
Yeah, that's actually one thing that I experienced this last year with him. I just recently, the beginning of the year, made the High Performance USA boxing team for the youth. And I made the team. A couple weeks later, they had the tryouts for the wrestling one. And I was like, you know what, let's do that one too. You know, I could go. I just got off of state. I was like, I'm ready. Let's go. And he had to put his foot down. He was like, you have all this stuff going on. You just have wrestling state. You have this big fight that we're getting ready for in Germany. Plus, you're doing the inspecting, you know, like, let's calm down for a minute, you know, let's just do one. And, oh my gosh, I threw the biggest fit ever, you know. I was just like, how cool would that be to be on both USA teams and all that stuff. He was like, the schedules might conflict, you know, it's not worth the hassle. And that's one thing he's like, he's really good at setting boundaries that I wish weren't there. Like, I don't want to listen. I just want to do everything, be the best as I can at everything, and he's definitely the one who's like, okay, let's realistically, can you do all of it? I believe you can, because obviously I've proved him wrong many times, but he also knows like there is a limit on it. He said maybe next year you could try it. So he's not completely cutting me off, but also like, let's like work a little bit at a time. And growing up, it's always just been me and my dad. And so growing the relationship together and growing in the sports, it's definitely made a big difference for me. You know, having someone that's always there, you know, like a full-time coach, which can clash sometimes, but he's always looking out for what's best for me and kind of looking to see what's going to work better for me in the long run. And it's just amazing, and I'm really glad that I have him like that.
Yeah, you're talking about this fight in Germany that you have coming up. You know, give us a date on that, and also give us something that you want to do over there in Germany. What are some things you maybe want to do? I know you're, 17, so some of the things maybe you have to be 18 for. But is there anything that you're like, hey, that's cool. I want to go see that. Or I want to go see this attraction. Is there anything that you really want to go do over there in Germany that's kind of had your eye for a while? Because I know as soon as you got the chance to see that where you were going, you were definitely looking at that spot and seeing, okay, what is there to do over there?
Yeah, so for that one, it's going to be the Brandenburg Cup, I believe it's called. I'm going to be gone the July 28th through August 19th, so I'm actually missing like the first week of school for that.
Oh, wow.
Which is going to be fun. I'm thankful I have such a great school that they're willing to work with me on that, especially because senior year and all that stuff with attendance. So I'm going to be gone for about 28 days, I think it is. They keep moving the days, but honestly, I'm just excited for it to be a different kind of culture. Obviously, what they do over there is completely different from what we do over here. And I love food. I train so much. I just love eating. And so kind of seeing the different types of food they have, different, like, people, and kind of just seeing, like, their history over there, and then also being able to see the international style boxing. That's one thing when we were trying out for the team, they were talking about how different the international and then our like regular boxing it is. So they wanted to make sure all the fighters were able to switch between styles, so be able to compete at nationals here and then internationally, and that's one thing I'm looking forward to seeing, because it's definitely way different.
Yeah, no, and that was something like I was thinking when the question, I was like, dang, I have to ask her, like, what are some things you want to do, and ask you, like, oh, that, obviously are within your age restrictions, which is obviously just the kudos to you of how young you are and how many achievements you're doing, which is absolutely insane and great opportunity that you're getting to go to Germany, and kudos to you. Cannot wait to see the results from that. But what are some things you're looking to do once you get back? I know you said you're going to be your senior year of high school. Are there some goals that you're maybe setting? I know you just had a great year. You were the Visalia Times Delta's front page for their sports paper, and you were the athlete of the year, for the Tulare Unified, right?
Yeah.
For all of Tulare. So tell us about that. How was it for you to finally just not only get that, but also you're like, dang, I got a whole other year, Has that been kind of something that you've been looking forward to?
Yeah, so I'm super excited. My senior year, I've been counting down the days till I turn 18, because that's when you can start signing and you kind of go professional. And so honestly, never count down the days to my birthday until this year. I'm 9 months away from turning 18, and I am so excited. After this fight in Germany, I'm hoping to just step it up another level, kind of go faster with everything I have going on. And I'm actually working on this thing to maybe bringing girls wrestling separated in junior high. That's one of the things that was brought to my attention, that there isn't separated in junior high. And I was on an all-girls team for the very first time this year for high school. And just getting the different environment, different style, different everything, a lot of the girls on the team, like, I talk to them, you build bonds and kind of like get close with them. And that's one thing that got brought up a lot, that like most of them didn't wrestle in middle school because they didn't want to wrestle with the boys. And that's completely understandable. Again, I used to wrestle with some teams and some guys that just, oh, she's a girl, like, let's try to hurt her. Let's try to get her off the team forever, make her not like it. And that's one thing that I don't like about it. But that's one thing I'm trying to, like, get into junior high, get them prepared for high school and college, and so making sure they get, like, a good all-girls experience growing up into the sport, because, once you're done with high school, there's college, and then all that stuff, and so making sure they get an experience in that. So that's something I'm working on after that, and then also just sharpening up my game, hopefully going to go big after, so.
Yeah, and you have a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu black belt. I meant black belt, blue belt. Sorry, you're hoping to get a black
Yeah,
belt.
hopefully.
Yes, you got that blue belt, and you have many other accolades. And with that, you recently had a matchup at in Slow that was canceled that I was supposed to be at. So talk about that a little bit, because I mean, for you, I know I heard the whole story. You're halfway there in Kettleman, and for you, how does it feel? For you got grown women, which for me, I find that absolutely crazy. You got grown women kind of just saying no, like, you know. So for you, was it shocking to kind of get that call, like, hey, we don't have an opponent for you? And for you too, it's got to be that thing, and you're gonna definitely experience it in the amateur scene, and plenty of women already see it where they can't get matchups because no one wants to fight them. Has that been something that's been on your mind as a fighter and as somebody that's kind of gone up in the scene and hopefully looking to get into MMA? Because as he said, once you turn 18, that's when you can turn pro, and obviously that's when you can fight. But has there been that thought of like, man, should I just go straight to pro? Because it's going to be definitely a challenge, and definitely kind of space out your matches sometimes with a lot of these women and the way they and just opponents in amateur MMA in general, just kind of drop in and everything like that.
Yeah, so that was heartbreaking to me. Unfortunately, it's not something I'm not used to. That's happened many times for boxing and everything. That's why for tournaments, I always wait till the last second to sign up so they don't see my name on there until it's too late. You can't back out. And so that's one thing I like, going to big nationals, which sometimes still happens. And that one was heartbreaking. We're halfway there, getting ready to go, and my coach calls me, and I was like, there's no way this is serious right now. Like, you got to be joking. I took the match on a 4-day notice. I just came off an injury, and I was just like, I had everything against me, but that's what I loved about it. The girl was, as far as I know, was kind of big in her area, and everyone knew about her, and everyone was like, she's like awesome and stuff. So I was excited. I was looking forward to it, and I was like, win or lose, this would be a learning experience. Going in there, I love being the underdog. I was looking forward to being at her hometown so that I could get booed afterwards. I never experienced it. I was like, might as well, right? Trying to get all the experience I can before I go pro. But I just remember the whole emotional roller coaster on the way back, me being mad, and then like, okay, well, we could go here from there. And oh my gosh, it was just, again, I'm used to it, but it was still heartbreaking. Those always hit me hard. And that's one thing, when I go professional, I'm going to make sure to talk to the managers that they have a fighter and then a backup fighter. We can't have them dropping out last minute. It was hard, but it just lit the fire a little bit more to make me even want to go farther. So
Yeah, and with your grappling pedigree, with your karate pedigree, it's, a little bit of, it's like a GSP-esque, you got all those areas of your game. Has there been any time where you're just like, man, this one sport is just really consuming, maybe not a lot of your time, but it's just really consuming a lot of your mind, and you're just like, man, I love that sport. Has there ever been a time where you found a sport and you're just like, I want to do that? For example, you just fall in love with Muay Thai and you're like, I just want to do Muay Thai for a straight week. Or, oh my gosh, wrestling, I'm loving wrestling, I just want to do wrestling for a straight week. Or has there just been a balance? Have you just always liked to kind of just dibble and dabble?
Yeah, for me, I kind of like the balance of it. Originally, I decided to do all these sports so I could perfect as much as possible in all of them and be well-rounded, so when I do fight MMA, I can put them all together smoothly. And that's one thing, when I do them all separately, that I don't get bored with it. Even when I put them together, it's even more exciting because you don't know what's going to happen. Are they going to do jiu-jitsu? Are they going to box? Just having the options all the time is just something that I love about the sport. There's always exciting moves that come out of nowhere. I know my coaches just hit random stuff on me when I okay, cool, I finally got him, and then all of a sudden, boom, they're hitting something new, and it just always keeps me on the toes, and I love that. I love learning. I love getting better, and just getting all the experience I can is just incredible feeling to me.
Yeah. And I really appreciate your time today, Jennah. You're definitely on your road to becoming not only a great mixed martial artist, but a great role model for the city of Visalia, for the Tulare County, and for the state of California in general. I feel a lot of women, future time, they're going to look and they're going to be like, Jennah Creason, let me look her up. And they're going to see your accolades and they're going to be like, wow, I want to be like her, you know. And if hopefully one day a little girl comes up in here in this Powell gym, and I'm pretty sure it's already happened, where you've inspired a couple of young people. So keep on doing your thing out here, Jennah. Is there any last shout outs? I know you said you have already some sponsors, which is crazy because, as you said, you got to be 18 to sign some NIL deals, but you've had some sponsors already in your young career. Did you maybe want to give a shout out to them and kind of just, you know, give them a little bit of time here in this video?
Yeah, definitely Bobby Salazar's, of course. You know, they help me fuel me for my practices and get me ready. But also all my gyms, Visalia Powell, Retrivia Mixed Martial Arts, Dethrone Fresno, Jason Kraft, and some family friends of mine like Rick Merigian and Dwayne Zinkin. You know, all of them has just helped me so much and kind of put in the time to help make sure I could do what's best for me. And yeah, they're just incredible. And of course, my dad. And all glory to God. So.
Yeah, no, that was definitely a long list of shout outs, but it's definitely well deserved because you have definitely gone up the ladder. But Bobby Salazar's going to that a little bit. How is that post training, pre training? Because, you know, a lot of people often think Mexican food, man, that's heavy, you know, but you're all for it. So give us that, you know, as an athlete, how is it dealing with that diet and kind of, you know, I always found that interesting that you're sponsored by Bobby Salazar's and you go hard there. I see the plates that you get full sets out there. So kind of go into that. Is it just a virtue to your training and showing that, hey, I'm working this hard and I can down all this and still be good to go?
Yeah, so honestly, for my schedule, I have 3 or 4 practices a day, you know, on top of school and other places I go and train and do public speaking and stuff like that. But Bobby Salazar's salsa definitely fueled me for half of those. That's one thing that will never be taken out of my diet. Even going to the Clovis location, love them there. Amazing people, of course, amazing food. It's just amazing, you know. Of course, I have a strict diet sometimes, especially for fights. That's when you really have to be careful with it. But honestly, Bobby Salazar's will always be a part of that, 100%.
Hey, I think that's a great note to end off on here, Jennah. Michael Hernandez of MLH Media and Valley Fight News, and I'm going to be signing out with Jennah the Gem Creason. Thank you, Jennah.